I wait in trepidation.
Welcome back to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with writer, performer, musician, and a whole slew of other things that this guy does. John Hayes, welcome to the show. It has been freaking long, long overdue.
I'll say, what took you so damn long?
I know. Should have been the first freaking guest.
I'm like one of your oldest friends, dude.
I know exactly, exactly. Oh, but I have to say that I am still every once in a while getting messages from people who come across the older episodes and they run across the 100th episode with Rick Lupert where you did the great DJ introduction and people are just like, "Guys, freaking hilarious." I'm like, yes. Thank you. Everybody get on the John Hayes train. Let's get this going. Let's get this guy in some more short films and stuff. So let me start today. And it's a lot of stuff that I already know, but a lot of people are coming at you for the first time here on your first full episode. So what got you interested in writing and performing when you were a kid? Do you remember like a show or a movie or something you saw in a stage show or something where you were like, "Ooh, yeah, I want to try that."
I think it was you, dude. I mean,
Me?
you were kind of
Okay.
the steamroller guy, like, oh, let's do this. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't think I'd ever thought of performing or anything like that. Though I was good at mimicry.
Yes. Yes, I would agree 1,000% on that. But there was nothing like you saw or read. Was there like a book or something in middle school maybe where caught your eye, or there was a TV show or
I mean, you
something?
you introduced me to Monty Python and that,
Okay.
especially their audio tapes were inspirational. So,
I always got a lot of I think one of the funniest things about that kind of stuff was just when we were kids going, wait, not only that, could you do that? Could you get, access to, go to a library and whatever that would help we had to do and get access to sound effects. But it was that whole thing. It was a mind-blowing thing for me of going like, these were adults and it was okay to be ridiculously stupid. And not only was it okay, but it was like applauded and, and
paid for it.
I think for us too, it was like a way into, wait a minute, these guys are not only showcasing classic works of art, they're defacing them, they're ripping them up, Terry Gilliam's animation there.
Yeah.
And this I think that would be kind of interesting for the folks to know because we both have siblings, but do you think growing up in a large family kind of enabled you or it kind of sped up kind of the imagination, creative impulses where you kind of had to maybe fight for attention, or maybe there was another sibling that kind of said, well, this is my thing, and another sibling said, well, this is kind of my corner and my thing. So how kind of was that when you were growing up, with your different hobbies and things?
Well, let's see. I mean, yeah, I was the oldest of five, and we had like a ton of dogs in the house. And, we didn't tend to get, you know, being, five kids in a household, one income, and they, early mid 80s was not, I mean, we didn't have the most amount of money, and uh, the toys we would get were kind of random. And so you just had to make do. And, you know, I was just talking to my fiance this morning how I miss that kind of imagination and playing and stuff like that. I mean, I remember getting a pound puppy newborn for Christmas. I never wanted that sort of thing. What the heck? But turned it into a character, Howie, a dog, and he was a Ghostbuster. He was, martial arts expert, especially when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was getting big, stuff like that. And it was just, I don't know. I love my imagination. It was fun, and you know, And thankfully, I had siblings to play along with. My brother Chris, he was great with building things,
Oh
cardboard.
yeah, yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was great at that. So, and he was, exactly a year younger than I was. And, back in the 80s, you had lots of other kids around. People actually went to people's houses. They left the yard. They were in the yard in the first place. And they left the yard and hung out with other people, rode their bikes, went down to the lake, throw rocks at fish or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm
Mhm.
constantly nostalgic for that. In fact, that
Yeah.
yeah, just uh, I think everybody's parents were kind of the same way back then, which was the answer to a lot of questions were it started with I don't know, and then ended with go play outside.
Yeah, I was gonna say their catchphrase was probably just go the fuck outside.
Yeah,
You know?
and you know what? And in being parents ourselves, it was kind of like for me anyway, with all of the apartments I lived in, I couldn't always just tell Amy to go outside. I would never want to have told her that in Inglewood or something. But
Yeah.
where we grew up, it was definitely more of like an idyllic setting where I think, why we can relate to shows like Stranger Things that talk about growing up in the 80s because we were on our bikes constantly. We were
Oh yeah.
looking for ways to beat the heat and get in the shade and do stuff and, you know,
Entertain each other. Yeah.
yeah, and just come up with things and nicknames and
Mhm.
weird like spins on sports and stuff. But coming back around to your comedy influences, do you
Mhm.
remember seeing something like in person? Was there anything that you saw when you were younger that you saw? Maybe you saw like a talent show or you went to like an open mic in downtown Kent or something that or you heard about something that you were like, what is that?
I mean, I had a very sheltered childhood. We weren't allowed to do much. Yes, we were allowed to hang out with other kids, and that was about it. I mean, we didn't really go and do anything. I mean, we did camping, but again, that's just with other kids and stuff like that. So a lot of my influences came through those kids, you being one of them, obviously. You were pretty much the major one, um, being kind of my best friend growing up. And I don't know, it was whatever came to me through those people because we'd have money to go and buy tapes and albums and stuff like that. So didn't get an allowance or anything like that. So yeah, it was pretty sheltered and strict upbringing. So I mean, not like we were religious fanatics or anything like that, but still, it was just very cloistered. It was kind of rough. 'Cause everything I got through other friends, really. So that's I think uh,
Well, this is
Working
going to
with
blow your mind
Python,
because I was thinking
Saturday
about
Night
this the other
Live.
day. You're going to
Sorry,
love this.
what?
So I remember, ugh, this has got to be more than 30 years ago. I remember you and Joe and I think we were in his parents' living room listening to recordings of Mercury Theater, Orson Welles Mercury Theater, and trying to figure out like how they did War of the Worlds and this and that. I just remember his dad coming in and he goes, "Well, that's great, but you fellas really should go to a library and check out some of Orson Welles's movies." And then we all went, "He made movies too," and it's so funny that that was our entry into his stuff was the recordings of the audio shows because most people don't know anything about that. Most people, if they know anything about Orson Welles, it's Citizen Kane and they like his guest appearances or his wine or dog food commercials, or he was like the voice I think of Unicron
Transformers, yeah.
from Transformers, and people were like, "Oh, he did stuff before that." But that's so weird that we were kids and we whatever we could get our hands on was like, before pre-internet, it was all like go to the library, get a cassette recording of something, and just so funny that he would come in and be like, "You guys know he made movies too." We were like,
Yeah.
um, So here's the thing that I'll put to you that I was thinking about the other day,
Hmm.
when we were going to talk is when we were in high school and we were making comedy tapes,
Yep.
did you ever, there's no way we could have, but did you ever fathom when we were like, you know, 13, 14, 15, whatever we were, that we would be essentially with some of the same people, but performing at Kent State and then performing at well-known comedy clubs like our ill-fated show at Hilarities in Cleveland. But when we were like kids making tapes and oh my God, and trying to put two tape recorders together with sound effects and yada 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 and doing funny voices, I know I never thought like, well, this is going to go to another level, and then it's going to go to another. I mean, what was your thinking back then? I think we were just doing it for the fun of it, but looking back, we never would have even thought that that was like a possibility.
I mean, I don't know. It was, yeah, did I think it was going to go anywhere? No. Um, and it did go further than I expected. Sure, hilarities and did we do the funny stuff? I don't think we did the funny stuff, but it was interesting that we kept doing it. I mean, from like early high school through almost my college career, which was 5 to 7 years. Um, yeah, I was amazed we kept doing it for as long as we did too. Um, and then of course we all went our separate ways, it seems. And
But that's, I mean, I kind of relate it to kind of being in a band where it's just you just you have members that change out and this and that and you know
yeah, yeah,
I
we definitely had that, the ins and outs of people coming and going.
I I remember doing a I think it was a workshop or something and like the some playwriting class I had at Kent State, and I remember just I think it was a take on and take off of televangelist called Feel the Power or something like that. And I remember, it's like we had to get on and off really quickly, and just the kids in the class aren't going to know if you're improvising or if you make a mistake and you're trying to cover it. They're not going to know. But and this guy, I can never say enough about this guy, but Jed Dobbins, at some point, it's like we had to get off the little stage area because the other kids were getting ready to do their presentation, and the guy playing the devil is walking off, and he, for whatever reason, there was a tussle with the characters, and then his shoe came off, and we were yelling things about getting the devil away, and then the shoe was sitting there, and he just runs up and he goes, "Shoe!" He just kicks the shoe at the devil, and it was like just weird stuff that you remember. I mean, I
Yeah,
remember this guy, another guy was just, and this guy too, who was just a master at working with the crowd was Robert Trimble.
yep.
And I remember when we did our show in Hilarities, I think somebody that we were booked as an improv group, but we were
Mhm.
totally a sketch comedy group that also did songs. We had a couple things we could do to work with the crowd. But I remember somebody said something and Rob just said something like, I don't know what he said, what the guy said, but the Rob turned around and he said, "Well, we just got on stage right now, but this guy's been an asshole his entire life,"
All right,
which is probably not the best thing to do if it's your first time there and people have been drinking for hours.
all right. And then the other line that he used, what Bobby used was, oh yeah, I remember my first beer too.
So great, so great. Do you keep in contact with anybody from the group over the years that are local or?
I mean, I still hang out with Jen Joyner all the time.
Mhm.
Um, that's uh, that's about the only one from the comedy group, really. Um, I talk to Gary maybe once a year, usually not terribly long. He still lives an hour away, though his son just graduated Kent State. I saw his son on campus several times over the last few years. He just kind of looked at me like I was some some hobo or something. I like to walk on campus, and he was riding his bike or
Beautiful campus. They've done a great facelift of that place from what I've seen.
yeah, yeah, it is pretty nice. Yeah,
Um, let me
you're walking.
let me ask you this. So, because I know that there are some other things that you're interested. So, what are some of your writing or acting experiences or techniques that you think over the years that you've been able to apply to live action role playing? Because I know that you've kind of worked with people and kind of created these things. So I'm kind of curious from when you were younger, are there things that you kind of cherry picked and thought, "Ooh, I want to use that," and that'll come in handy?
Yeah, I was a very inward child. Though when I was with people I was comfortable with, I was very, very social with them. Though I'm usually the quiet one in the room. Unless everybody's quiet, then I have to step up and ask the questions or get the conversation going. Um, Acting and performing, and which of course leads into live action role playing is you know kind of pushes you out of your shell and helps you to explore avenues of yourself that you wouldn't normally explore. I credit the particularly live action role playing with helping me develop a myriad of social skills. And it actually helped me develop my humor because you see opportunities even in a you know the game I play, Vampire the Masquerade, is very dark, but there's always openings for the zippy one-liner and stuff like that. So um, it helps you be that. I've been told more than once that at dinner conversations, I tend to be the social sniper. I just sit and wait for my shot, and then bam, I kill.
Social sniper, I
Oh,
like that.
yeah. So that's yeah. I mean, it's really helped me develop socially, and it's probably the reason I've had girlfriends in the past and have one now. So, so thank you.
Yeah, I find that, and I'm sure you too, you found this too, that as we get older, it's just whatever we have worked on or developed in our life, it leads to other things. And I think we just have to be open to opportunities. And the older I get, the more I realize I just got to get myself out of my own way rather than saying like, oh, I could never do that, or oh, I don't know about that, or and then it's sometimes you just luck into these things and you just wander in a door one night and go, well, what the hell's going on here? Um, so I know that you also are a musician. So you talked about Jen Joyner. And are you still playing drums? Because I know Kent has a real thriving music scene.
I am not. I developed some issues with my arm, so I kind of stopped doing that. So I haven't touched the drums in several years now. Um, I would like to get back to it at some point, but I need to develop my upper body, I think, more. So
Mhm.
the stress of the drumming doesn't give me tendonitis or whatever it was again. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, unfortunately, no, I'm not doing any music right now. Um, I did used to, sing in choir, and that's how I got into Kent State to the Kent State Chorale, and how I was able to go to Italy and tour Italy and telling stories from there. But yeah, it's so yeah, music, of course, is a great part of your life. Can help you center when you're hugely emotional or have no emotions. That happens too. Um, so yeah.
I kind of figured maybe, and there's always time for this, that if you hadn't been playing live drums, that maybe you would kind of get into kind of an electronic or something where a program that maybe will let you build a song from the bottom up, like a garage band or something like that. I know these things, I don't even know what's Pro Tools. These things have come along and gotten a lot more advanced and a lot more expensive. But is that something that kind of ever crossed your mind where you just want to maybe fiddle with something like some kind of free online, downloadable like songwriting program? Because I think that you would have fun with it, but again, with everything we have going on in our lives, it's just finding the time.
I mean, no, I don't think it's ever crossed my mind because of the time issue. I mean, I don't even play computer games hardly anymore that I used to play all the time because I just don't have the time. I got a house with three kids in it. They're all adults, but might as well still be just kids. And yeah, it's very hard to find the time. So yeah, I got my full-time job, I've got a part-time thing going, and also, side business digital marketing. So and then of course fiance, which, whatever time you have left, if you have that time, it's gone to that. Um, I am trying to reconnect with old friends, particularly in the LARP community. I think we're going to be meeting up this Sunday, actually, for the first time in 10, 20 years. So that'll be nice. And maybe get that started again, LARPing again. That would be nice.
Very
If
cool.
anybody doesn't know what LARP is, it's live action role playing. It's just you create a character, dress kind of it's like cosplay improv, if you will, in a certain genre. Ours is
And I hope that I don't know if we've ever hung out. That your fiance fosters and pushes you because she's known you for years, but hopefully she has seen, especially the stuff that we've done creatively together through COVID and cell phones and Zoom chats and stuff. She should know what a talented and funny mofo you are, and so hopefully she fosters that in you and says like, John, like you gotta like do this stuff and like you've got it in you and like only if, for your own mental health is just for all the time we were stuck inside for the last few years to just, you got it in there, you got to get it out. And hopefully, she's one of those people that just is like, just go do your thing. Is
Yeah,
she,
for the most part. I mean, that's, how do you think I landed her? My creativity and,
fair enough. I didn't see that coming. That was great.
yeah.
Uh, That's great. And hopefully there are activities, you guys can do together that are creative. And I'm not exactly sure what she's into, but hopefully, now that things are opening up.
Yeah, she's actually started exploring more of her creativity. Recently, she started writing a book,
Nice.
supernatural romance, a la True Blood or whatever. Um, so yeah, she's been doing that for about 6 months. Started on her second book already. She still hasn't gone back to the rough draft of the original to punch it up, but so yeah, she's doing that. I'm doing the LARP thing. She also, when I did it a couple years ago, she participated in the LARP thing. She also does when I do tabletop role playing games. She participates in that as well. Um, so yeah, we have our shows that we like to watch and
Very
you know,
cool. Um,
stuff like that.
and so, because I'll probably forget it when we finish recording here, but let her know about submittable.com and duotrope.com. They are search engines for submitting your writing. And I think Submittable still free. Duotrope might be $2 or $5 a month, but maybe just go the Submittable route first. And maybe that will help foster her and kind of light a fire under her because there are magazines and journals and anthologies that accept, chapters. You can publish a chapter, or and then some of them also give you really good feedback too, of saying like, this is cool, where does this character go from here? How did they come into this situation? And who knows? I mean, she gets a couple, just one or two chapters published. That is something that when she starts submitting like the full manuscript to a publisher, she can use that as, fuel for the fire and say, to kind of market herself and say, well, I've had a couple of these published. I mean, she doesn't have to, just food for thought. I'm
Yeah,
always trying to be people's cheerleader.
yeah, cool.
Um, well, I can't let you go without talking about this because believe it or not, we were just talking about this yesterday. Still get people asking me about a Skardouche
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, the short film that we worked on a year and a half ago.
yeah,
And I have no qualms about saying you were brilliant in it. Your contributions to it were amazing. Um, and my God, man, for being stuck at home and all we could use were cell phones and Zoom chat, recordings and stock footage and whatnot. It was so fucking fun. It was so fun. And so tell me a little bit about your experience and maybe like the after effects of when it got put out and everything.
Um, I mean, I love that it kind of pushed me to try to think of ways to kind of add little things to it, which is part of improv, right? And it was I've always enjoyed taking an idea and seeing what I can do with it, just exploring things. That's always been fun. So that it helped me do that, and that was fun. Um, let's see, the after effects. I mean, from what I've heard from you, it was fairly well received, and you like put it through like some festivals and stuff like that. So I mean, so that's cool. Um, though I'm kind of like a person that's I think we can always do better,
Yeah, of
but
course. Yeah.
you know, so maybe I don't know, maybe we explore some of the old stuff and revamp it up, make it more modern, and we'll see what else we can do. Uh, maybe get the band back together. I don't know. You know,
Yeah, that's something that
Andy's age.
literally, I think 6 months or maybe a year ago, Joe Feinberg was just his words, not mine, because I don't even know how he would do it, but I think he has files or tapes and he wants to digitize them and release them maybe on some audio streaming. And I said, more power to you, man. If you want to do it, I don't know that I would go back to stuff that old because with audio stuff, because I don't know how we would remaster it because it wasn't like multiple tracks. But I'm like, yeah, if you just want to put the stuff out there and for a laugh and see what people say, and I think, listening to ourselves from that long ago, we would sound like chipmunks, but
Yeah.
our voices would be so high pitched, and you could tell that we were just so excited just to be doing that stuff. But one of the things I really, and I'll ask you about this too, um, one of the things I really appreciate about the Sammy's Edge, comedy group experience, and then moving on to stage shows. And John, we did a show at a fashion museum.
Yes, we did. Oh my
I
God.
mean,
I forgot about that. Wow.
and people were like, all right. One woman did say, like, I don't think you really, utilize the catwalk as maybe as much as you should. And I don't think we even got in there to rehearse. I think we got in there like a couple hours before the show. We're like, this
Yeah.
is it. We already picked the skits that we were gonna do, and that's kind of what we could do. But it was like, holy shit. Here's
Yeah.
the thing that big kudos to Kent State. They let us do these things.
Unsupervised.
Unsupervised. Do you remember running around and filming stuff like in the courtyard where the fountain is with Mike Powell and making like short films that we would use to play on the screen and the
Yeah.
Kiva while we were doing costume changes and stuff? That was kind of like my first introduction into like that stuff. And my God, how things have changed
Mm.
to process video editing. Like poor guy. I remember that
Yeah.
stuff used to take hours.
Yeah. It's pretty, yeah, scary. Yeah, the stuff we did. Wow.
And
Sure.
if anything, and I
Uh,
gotta ask you this, do you feel like that like emboldened you that you could fucking do anything? Like
yeah. Yeah, I
any
think at
kind
the
of
time, yeah.
challenge. I mean, I'm talking not even like creatively, but just like in your life or with work, it was kind of like, hey, if I can figure out how to do all this and get it on a stage in like 2 weeks or whatever prep time we had, like doing a PowerPoint presentation or something for your job is like, oh, a piece of cake.
Yeah, these days it's be nothing. But yeah, I did back in your college years, you could do anything and you just kind of did it. I mean, it was yeah, it was a world of possibility back then, and then life kind of beats you down. Yeah.
But I also think, I'm curious to see what you think about this. There's a lot of, and I've talked to other people in different creative backgrounds about this too, which is there's a lot of people don't want to put stuff online anymore. They don't want their video or their audio or their writing to be up there for free or whatever. But I think with us starting that stuff, pre everybody using the internet, as we just did it. We didn't think about it. Now people, I think, are so stressed and anxious about like, oh, is this similar to something that somebody else did? And oh, did whatever. And it's like, just do your thing. I mean, my God, if Saturday Night
Sure.
Live sues you because your concept is too similar to theirs, that would be the best thing that could ever happen to you.
The publicity, right?
Um,
For sure.
But yeah, so I guess let the folks know, and I know you've done other kinds of writing. Are there any kinds of writing that you are currently working on or that you haven't done that you want to try? Because there's so much stuff you can do out there now.
Well, let's see. Back in high school days, I did short story writing, as you know. I enjoyed that for a while. Did that a little bit in college as well. Never had an idea for a novel. Um, so didn't explore that. Helped with the comedy writing. I was more the editor though than the writer. Um, in the aughts, I was dabbling my hand in adaptation screenwriting. I had a couple novels that I was adapting, um, which I think turned out pretty well, but I never put in front of anybody that of consequence, if you will. Um, may still do that. I don't know. It's yeah, again, it's really the time. Lately, my writing has been more of the tabletop RPG kind of writing, just scenarios and campaigns and stuff like that for a fantasy pirate game that I run. Um, but yeah, I may get into more to more writing once I'm able to retire the job or whatever, hoping my side hustle turns into a real business and stuff like that.
Well, awesome. I mean, there's so much out there, and with the internet, we can do anything. Um, I
Sure.
remember a valuable comedy lesson that I learned when and you were there as well when we did I want to say we did a show, Sandy's Edge did a show in this, you can correct me because my memory is fuzzy. I think it was in the city of Green. Do you remember that? Like late, God, this must have been like late 90s. And it was like you, me, Chuck. I'm trying to remember who else was
Chuck,
there.
I was gonna say Chuck, yeah. And was it in green? I don't think it was in green. I think it was east, but that doesn't matter.
I don't remember that. Somewhere in that area, Alliance, maybe. I don't remember somewhere. And it taught me the lesson of know your audience because we kind of went in there. I knew that we were going to have to do some improv stuff, and we did a few things that we took suggestions from the audience. But um, I remember talking to one of the other performers that night because there was a few people on that bill, and one of the guys is a stand-up comedian, and he was talking to me about like, oh wow, you're gonna do this, and oh you have a guitar, and oh you got props, and oh that's great. I'm like, oh, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm just gonna get up there and talk about my crazy family. Okay. What about? Oh, just some stuff. I'm like, okay. And then I walked away from, and that's so dumb because I was so young and I was thinking like, well, he's gonna bomb. It doesn't sound like he has a plan and whatever. And we did our stuff and we kind of, I don't know. In my mind, we kind of got a tepid response and certain things went over like gangbusters and certain things were crickets. And you're just gonna have that if you're gonna do three or four, skits and some songs. But I remember seeing this guy come up after us and he knew because he was from the area, he knew he was going to have little blue-haired old ladies in the front row. And he talks about the farmers market, he talks about the flea market, and he talks about, food trucks and going fishing in a creek. And he kind of knew that crowd
Right.
and they were just eating out of his hand. And I just remember being, backstage, just kind of looking out in the wings, just eating crow, man, just like some humble pie. Like I should have listened, but it's like, you have a pre-planned show like we did. It's like
Yeah, we usually did
You
pre-plan.
can't change it that much on the day, but it was just like, oh yeah, shit. It's like you or me or one of us or any of us should have gone down there like a week before, sat in the show in the
Mhm.
audience, kind of seen and then come back. I don't know what do you want to call it, doing some comedy recon or something. And I
Yeah.
do that now that I'm older, but I mean, do you have
Mhm.
any recollection about that experience at all, or like when we would do shows away from Kent or away from Kent State? That a lot of hit and miss, maybe.
What I remember from that is, was it like a barn or something? I mean, it was,
I think it was
it
a,
felt like a barn. It
I
was a
think it was like a
historic house.
black box theater. It was a theater that did plays there, but it may have been a converted church. I don't remember. It's been so long.
I remember I don't even remember what we did there, but I do remember Chuck, you, me. Was that all? It's just the three of us? I don't
I
remember.
think there were five of us, but I can't remember who else. Those are the
And
three I
then,
remember.
yeah, those days. I remember being very dark in there, and I think it was rainy outside, and there was the one act I do remember is the guy who did the lime and the coconut, the
Yeah,
drum and the guitarist, that song. And that's first time I think I heard that song, to be honest. So that's what I remember from that. And yeah, not I don't remember getting a huge reception, if you will, but um, yeah, kind of
I think Gary was there too. Gary Sorrell was
probably
there.
Gary. Yeah,
I
it's
want to,
kind
like I said, I think there may have been five or six of us, but it was a learning experience, and the hilarities show, that was a learning experience because nothing like you go in there as a sketch, memorized sketch comedy group with costumes and props, and then they got the whoever it was, the booker or the presenter is like, now an improv group from Kent, Ohio, and we're going,
nope. Where are they? I haven't seen them.
oh, and we did our best. We tried to, I think we worked to work in some call and response from the crowd. Like Biker Nuns was a big hit with the kazoos and everything. So we would start in the crowd. But yeah, I think that was probably it for Mr. Trimble. I think he was like, oof, you
Yeah.
know. But I give him kudos. So tell the folks, I guess, if you're working on anything now or what's coming up next for you, if there's more LARP in your future, or I know that there were kind of some interested parties that we both talked to about maybe working on some short films there in the area.
Um, yeah, those didn't pan out.
Okay.
Haven't heard from those guys, those people. Um, yeah, LARP looks to have a future here again. It's been a few years, but I think we're interested, and a lot of us have grown-up kids now who are wanting to introduce. Uh, and what's interesting is I might have found my calling with this. I'd always wanted to when I was in high school, I wanted to be a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and I that's what I started my major at Kent State in psychology. And I discovered how to label people and diagnose and stuff like that, which was kind of stupid for me not to realize that, but I really just wanted to help people, right? So I've always known I wanted to do some kind of help with people and therapy, if you will. And and I'm discovering through a book, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. It's about complex PTSD, which is um, childhood PTSD, basically. Um, and that one of the five therapies the guy recommends, and this is a big book. It's lots of people have read it. Um, is theater as therapy. And so I'm like, improv therapy, maybe
Hey, I mean, go for it.
tying into LARP as well,
If it's
Uh,
something that you enjoy, and this is the thing that I talk about with a lot of people, especially if there's kids involved and everything. Nothing is more contagious in a good way than enthusiasm. So
yes.
if you're excited about it,
Mhm.
that just has like a mob mentality, almost kind of an effect where it's like well, I don't know about this thing, but that guy looks like he's sure having a hell of a good time. So I want to have a good time, or I want to be part of this. And if you can make it fun and engaging, isn't that, I mean, we have kids and we know that's like half the battle.
Yep, for sure, for sure.
Um, so yeah, I guess before we go here, I guess yeah, just I haven't been to Kent in a while, and I know that's gotten a facelift over the last few years. And do you kind of see a lot of? I know they revamped the Kent stage, and there's a lot of performers coming through there. Do you feel after all this time that there's still kind of like a vibrant arts community going on there, fostering all that?
I mean, for sure there is, especially with the Kent State students when they're here. I haven't been in the theater since they've renovated it. I think the last time I was there was 10 plus years ago when Judd was actually kind of stage managing
Wow.
there. Um, Went and saw the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They still do that at that theater, so that's pretty cool. Took my I just started dating my fiance. I think we were dating 6 months, maybe a year, and I took her to that. She had never been, so that was fun. But yeah, still very much a part of Kent. There's a lot of art going around. I think there is an improv troupe here at Kent.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, I think they're called the Black Squirrel Improv Group or
Oh, that's
something.
fun. Yeah.
Um, which I've not seen them yet. But yeah, it's a big part of Kent, I think. So another good reason to stay. I, most people I know have probably left Kent, but I'm still here.
Okay. Well, one more thing I was going to ask, I guess, we've had what I would call a fair degree of success with doing things online in the last few years because we had to with COVID and lockdown with the Scottish Thanksgiving. But where do you see in the next few years, 5 years, things going? Do you think that I think people are getting back out of their house. No one's going to be like a gerbil or whatever, but or hamster. But do you see that becoming more of where things are going, where everything, all the entertainment's just online with streaming and things like YouTube? Do you see, as you're talking about, and there is an improv troupe there in Kent. So I love live entertainment, but I mean we grew up with that, but do you see it kind of going away and everything kind of making a move towards streaming and internet, or is there now with all the restrictions lifted, people are like yearning for that like live experience, whether it's improv or music or theater? Are people just in your neck of the woods just really yearning for that live experience?
I do think it has diminished. I do
Yeah.
think the live experience has diminished quite a bit, actually. Even we had our Heritage Festival yesterday here in Kent, and it's easily less than half of what it used to be pre-COVID. Still, even, 4 years later. Ohio didn't lock down as much as California did. We did that for maybe 6 months to a year, but um, so we've been out and about for quite a few years and without masks for quite a few years at this point. But the live presence, if you will, that I'm seeing anyway, is not what it used to be. Um, and that's another reason I'm trying to get our LARP community together. Because that's what we're missing these days is community. We're so atomized and going in our different directions. And as we get older, we're losing friends. Some
Mm.
just because of distance, others just because we're not, no proximity, not proximity, but the time. Or in my case, I've had several friends die this year.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
just,
like it really kicks you in the butt
yeah.
to try to get, building community. That's kind of what I've been focusing on lately is
And
trying
I
to.
applaud you for that because I think so many people just get sucked up into their own thing that they don't poke their head out of the gopher hole enough.
Yeah.
So as we wrap it up here, give you a little bit of a platform. So where can people find your work online that you want them to funnel into, or how can they reach out to you if they do want to get some of that John Hayes magic on their project?
Um, I mean, I'm on Facebook, John
Okay.
Hayes, Hayes. I live in Kent, so that should be easy to find. And I look kind of like this. So,
Fair enough. All right, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, long overdue. And
yeah.
if you're watching this,
Oh,
this guy is super talented. He's on IMDb. You can look up his stuff. If anybody wants a link and they want to see his amazingness in Scartouche Thanksgiving, more than happy to do that. And just keep doing stuff, man. Keep writing, keep acting, keep doing music. The role playing. Just keep doing it. I mean, I know that your fiance will probably kick you in the butt as well, lovingly, hopefully. But I just wish you nothing but the best, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. This will be up online on the channel on Wednesday, the 10th. Thank you so much, John. Bye-bye.
thank you, sir. Bye-bye.